All right, so today I am super glad to be joined by Jordan Brooks from Sterifab. How are you doing, Jordan?
I'm doing excellent, Andy. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Middle of the season right now, so all guns blazes. How are things with Sterifab these days?
Things are great. We entered into a partnership with NYSIS in the professional pest control field, so we're loving that relationship. And yeah, just things are humming along. Very happy here.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Legislative Day. Every year, the National Pest Management Association gets everybody together down in Washington, D.C. to go talk to Congress people and senators and staffers and whatnot to sort of advocate for our industry. And I know you have gone before. I think was last year your first time?
It was. I was a rookie last year. Yes.
So next year you're going to be a veteran. Is that how that works?
I'm a veteran if you go a little far. I'm a somewhat seasoned player, although hopefully I'm not due for the sophomore slump, right? But
That's right.
I
Yeah,
had a good rookie year, I think.
that's right. That's right for sure. So I wanted to just ask some questions because I've never been to Legislative Day down in Washington, and I
Yeah.
wanted to know more about what it's about and what you're doing. So, like, if you could give us sort of a little rundown synopsis for somebody that's never gone, like what are we in for? Like, we show up at a hotel room in Washington, and then what next?
That sounds a little, I don't know, sinister or daunting, showing up in a hotel room. But listen, I didn't know what to expect other than the fact that I've always been attracted to Washington, D.C., right? Irrespective of what you may think about what's going on now, there is something special about Washington, D.C., how it's steeped in history,
Oh
what
yeah.
it means to our country, et cetera. So I wanted to be a part of Legislative Day because, again, a visit to the Hill, et cetera, always sounded good to me. And this was my third year, and then this past Legislative Day is my third year in the industry. I'd heard great things about it, so I wanted to go. Again, I didn't really know what to expect either. What I found is that through NPMA staff and all of the veterans in the industry, they really hold you by the hand and provide a lot of advice on what we're seeking to accomplish during our Hill visits, and also explain to us what are some of the important issues in Washington affecting or potentially affecting our industry could be. Um, so, if I recall, it's essentially a 2.5 day event. Of course, it's wonderful. You get to see people from all over the country, some of whom you may see every couple of years, some you may see at more industry events, some maybe you've never met before, right? As in
Yeah.
in my case. Um, and then there are a lot of panels, um, and there are a lot of board meetings, et cetera, where you get to hear about what's going on with the NPMA. And then there's also a couple panels where they really drill down on the issue or issues that you want to address with your Hill visits. So that way, when you're coming in as someone, as I was, with very little knowledge on what we wanted to accomplish, by the time it was Monday and we were ready for our Hill visits, I felt fully prepared to participate as necessary in those visits.
So, as a first timer or even a veteran, are you responsible? Do you have to go and like, are you going to be arguing with a senator or debating a congressperson or like, what's that? What's going on there?
Yeah, I think it comes down to a comfort level. But for example, the hot button issue this year is was state preemption, and I think it's going to be
Next year
next
too.
year
Yeah.
too. What that means, as I can best explain it, is that we want the federal legislator to codify that the states are the sole regulator of the use of pesticides within their own state, and to disallow localities, cities, municipalities, what have you, from making decisions about what pesticides can be used or the manner in which they can be used in their little sector, in their realm, because that would lead to a patchwork of really unworkable regulations. It also leaves very important decisions to those best schooled in the science,
Mm.
and that would be the state agencies. So we, as an industry, were coming to the federal legislature, to our senators, representatives, staffers, et cetera, and saying, let those who know the best regulate us. right? We want to be regulated, just have it so it's the states and the EPA essentially that are
Sure.
regulating us.
Sure.
With respect to the conversations and dealings we had with those on Capitol Hill, in the case of New York, we essentially appointed a spokesperson out of our group that would make the initial pitch and explain the issue and boil down the issue, probably better than I even could there, about why including such a codification in a federal bill is important, why it's important for the public health and safety, what it means to the industry, and what it means to the public. And we appointed a spokesperson who had been through this process several times, and he was able to engage in the initial colloquy with, be it the staffer or actual representative or senator, him or herself. And then if there were follow-up questions, so in my position as a manufacturer, right, if there were a certain perspective I could add relating to the bill, then perhaps I would pipe up. But otherwise, for the most part, I didn't say much, especially depending on the conversation and the way it was going. And you sort of an impression of which representative or senator is going to be in your court and which ones you may have to do a better job persuading. So the conversation was sort of guided that way, but I would say we left it more to to that person or the couple people who really experienced in those dealings.
Yeah.
From a New York perspective, because the NYPMA, Andy Feldstein and Bill Menahan, both of whom are very articulate, very persuasive, very well schooled in all the issues and have been in the industry for several decades, were tremendous at articulating our position and answering any questions that the representative or staffer had.
Sure. And you're meeting with staffers or representatives from New York exclusively, right? Each state is meeting with their own representatives?
Yes. Yeah, and it's really a great day. You get to explore the offices, whether it's representative's office building or senator's office building. There certainly is a certain cachet to that, and it's just special to be, I think, to be in those halls. Like I said, regardless of what you may think about what's going on, it is special, and you are given full and undivided attention by the representative or the staffer, and they have been educated on what's going on. They're not coming in with a blank slate. They understand what we're talking about, and we found that to be very helpful too, because we were able to hit the ground running. So in each of those meetings, we would introduce ourselves, and then, like I said, hand it off sort of to the group leader, so to speak, to enter into the initial conversation. But there was so much leading up to it. The value of Saturday and Sunday leading up to the Monday visits, like I said, I couldn't say more about the way you meet with our lobbyists and they explain what the tenor of things are on the Hill, and just the ability to network with those in the industry. As I've seen posted so many times, it's what makes the pest control industry so special is that you're surrounded by competitors, but they all seem like friends. And that's on my end with what you could claim are competing manufacturers. And Andy, I know how you deal with those you could claim are competitors too. There's something special about that, and everyone comes together with respect to the singular goal of educating federal representatives and senators and their staffers on what is best for the public health and safety and why.
Yeah. Now, aside from the sort of lobbying and getting the information and our positions across to the representatives, National Pest Management Association, do they have committee meetings and things like that? Did you attend any of those, or can you speak to any of that?
Yeah, I didn't get in time for the NPMA board directors meeting, but I understand that was very educational and worthwhile. And then NPMA opened their doors for the headquarters for anyone who wanted to come to check it out. I did attend a Professional Pest Management Association board meeting. There was also a rookies orientation, which was really helpful to sort of give us the lay of the land. There were a couple events for pest vets that were really valuable. So yes, there were other national meetings and that were very important to the weekend, and that I was able to draw a lot from.
Yeah, for sure. Now, who would you say should attend this? I mean, if we were to bring a contingent from New York State, would this be only owners? Would it be rank and file technicians and stuff? Like, who should be going to this?
I think everybody should.
Yeah.
If you look at some of the states and the representation they had, um, Ohio, Florida, North Carolina, it was a diverse grouping.
Mm.
You had owners, you had managers, technicians, distributors, and vendors slash manufacturers.
Sure.
Everyone was able to give a unique perspective on what they see and why. In this case, federal preemption in a federal law, in the Farm Bill they call it, would
Yep.
be important, and why it'd be beneficial for the representative constituents. I don't see that it's geared more or less for anybody. I think. Listen, if you're an owner or a manager of a pest control company, that's always going to be very important. But they want to hear from their constituents, and I think there is, and I've been told by people far more knowledgeable than I who've attended this meeting, that strength in numbers is valuable. If you are a representative and you see 20 individuals coming to your office to speak about a particular issue, I would think that's gonna hold some weight. So the more the merrier. And again, it's not just the Hill visits. There are a lot of reasons why people may want to mix and mingle with some of the best minds in the industry that were there, and get all this information to bring home.
Yeah, for sure. Now, yeah, it seems like the preemption issue that's facing us right now, that seems to be kind of the hot button thing, is one of these things that if we don't sort of come together to get this through now, that we'll really regret it later on. It's going to be it seems like a type of thing that it'll be much, much harder to unwind if you have local municipalities making rules and each county making their own, pesticide laws, as opposed to, say, the DEC being the one point person for us to go to. I think if you let this out and it starts rolling downhill, it's going to be kind of a mess that's going to be harder down the road. So it seems like it's kind of a call to action to everybody to kind of get on board to help get this through.
Yeah, I can't imagine being a pest control owner or someone trying to do schedules, or being a technician or all the above, and you're crossing over from town to town, and so you have to pull out a certain chemical or bait or whatever it is out of your truck, leave it at some shed on the border of
on the county line.
Westchester County. You're going to Scarsdale, you have to leave, hopefully not Sterifab, I'll just say, right, out of in some shed there. You go into Eastchester, then you come back out, you pick up your Sterifab, you go back in. I don't know who's going to regulate that. I don't know who's going to enforce it. But what you do know is that local politicians sometimes make decisions that aren't always based on all the data. And if you don't have the people who are best suited to do it, you could be in trouble.
Yeah. And I dread the thought of enforcement of something like this, where you're looking at, okay, so a local town sheriff or something is going to be the one. Is that the one that's going to be in charge of that municipality's pesticide laws? So now instead of DEC, pesticide control officer that knows what they're doing and what they're looking for, checking your service vehicle, now you have the local, sheriff who's never done something like this before, that has some new thing that the town council passed, and you're like, oh my God, this is not good.
And what about, you have your best practices, right? Yep. I know how research oriented you are, but I'm sure with respect to certain pests, you have a certain formula, right?
Yep.
That you trust the most. But if you're going to a city or a town or a village or a county that has its own laws, right, with respect to what chemicals or any other tool you can use, whether it be a trap, right? What you can use and you can't use, you're going to have all these different protocols for each different city. And how much testing you have to do? How much trial and error is that? Right. How much time is that for you? And it's really depriving constituents in a certain area of the best pest control they can receive.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I agree with you. We can't let that cat get out of the bag.
Yeah, for sure.
I think there are 5 states, I believe, that don't have preemption. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really get into the weeds with owners in those states, but I know I don't think it's a good thing right now.
Yeah, for sure. Now, if somebody's a first timer that is looking to go down there, it's in March in 2025, March 9th through 11th. is when legislative day is. So you can mark your calendars now and start planning ahead. It's before the season really is kicking off, which is perfect. You can take a little trip to Washington, protect our industry and help us out. If somebody had questions and wanted to talk more about it, can they reach you somehow? Is there
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you prefer? I mean, I'm on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Jordan Brooks. Email is Jordan B as in boy at sterifab.com. Cell phone 914-329-6802.
There you go.
I look at it far more than I wish I did, but you'll get me. Yeah,
That's right.
I would love to have a tremendous New York turnout.
Yep.
I know what incredible members we have in the NYPMA. I know how passionate we all
Yeah.
are about the industry, and I also know what something like preemption, which again, I believe is what's going to be on the docket again. At least it'll be one of the issues on the docket again
Yep.
for March of 25. As you articulated, Andy, how important it is for us to try to get that included in federal legislation. So
Yep.
hopefully we can make that happen and make our presence felt as New Yorkers should, right?
That's right. Everywhere we go, we talk fast and loud. People are going to hear us. There you
Yes.
go.
Yes.
All right, Jordan. Thanks for coming on, and hopefully we'll all see you in March at Legislative Day.
All right, Andy. Thank you. Appreciate you
Thanks.
having me.
Yeah, no problem.